Hey y'all, early in the morning here in the Appalachian Basin. It ain't quite light yet. In the super service truck, run up here to the local oil and gas company. They got a vac truck. It's actually a vac truck did some work on not too long ago, and aluminum vac tank on it. There she be. Sprung a leak, and we're gonna be doing a repair on it. Got a leak there in the back, really tough place to reach. I think I'm actually going to be reaching to the inside of it to do the repair. Gonna have to disassemble some stuff on the back right there. So they're going to be running that down to the shop. I actually, yesterday I was out of state working on one of my rental properties. And this company got a hold of me. They wanted this truck fixed. I told them, if you need me, I'll come home. So I drove back yesterday evening at about 4 hours getting back. Other side of the mountains, but for a job, company that's been throwing me some work, if they need me, they need me. So I run back and we're gonna get on this repair today. It's aluminum repair, do some aluminum welding, and let's see how it goes. All right, got the truck here where we can get to work here. Let's take a look at what we got. That leak where it's squirting out is clear in the back of this flange back in here. That aluminum flange. And one thing I noticed when I look in here, if you see right there, there's that bump. See where my finger's hitting, there's a bump. I don't know what that is. I think it's weld. I think it's a gobble weld. It's a really, if you were to try and reach up under there and do a repair, I don't know, there's just not much room, and with the space you got right here to put your head with your welding shield on, you'd have a hard time seeing. There's just no space in there. But I was talking with my buddy that's a mechanic for this outfit, and they want to change this plumbing and stuff too. And they're thinking that this plumbing needs to be braced to the bumper or fastened to something else, so it's not a lot of the vibration when they're using this vac truck at a swabbing rig. There's a lot of vibration that's going into it, shaking the whole truck, and it's right now, it's been putting force on that aluminum tank when that force would be better off getting absorbed by the bumper or something rather than that aluminum. But thing is, I need to get all this apart. I think I'm almost positive that we're going to be doing this aluminum repair from the inside. We're going to be taking this off and reaching in here, and we'll see how much good aluminum we got in there, how much corrosion, and let's get to it and get this thing apart. Those bolts are pretty corroded, and they're not worth the time it's going to take to get them apart. I'm going to blow them off there with the torch. I got a couple air vac systems set up on this tank. I'm sucking air through it at a very high rate of speed right now, just in case if there's any sort of fumes or anything like that in the tank. I'm going to make an effort to evacuate those fumes and pull as much regular atmospheric air through it as possible. So noise, you might hear them air vacs running, but let's get an update on what we're looking at with this damaged corrosion here on the area. I still think that welding this is the right thing to do. I don't think that I would gain a lot of, I don't think I could fix this a bunch faster by going and finding a new aluminum pipe and a new aluminum plate to make a new pipe and flange and all of that. I don't think that that's the answer. I still believe the best thing to do, even though there's a tremendous amount of corrosion here, it's all very easy to reach. Where I can get to it to do a regular BMR, this is a standard base metal repair job that's not hard to reach, and although there is a lot of base metal that needs to be repaired, since it's accessible, I still think that just welding it up and building it up is the way to do it. And while I'm doing that, knowing that I saw weld in there, so this has been done before, and so I'm gonna be aware that since it's been done before and I'm working in that spot, I'm gonna add probably even more so it'll last even longer. But I've cleaned it up quite a bit. I've been on it with the dish soap and vinegar, wire brush, and then later down the pipe, the very last thing that I did to it is I took the burr bit on the high-speed grinder and took a bunch of the corroded aluminum completely off. So let's take a look what we got. Couple things I feel like I need. My stainless steel power brush on my high-speed end grinder, it wore out. I'm going to want to get one of them, and since I'm going out, it gave me the idea to check on the other things that I might potentially feel like I need for this. And I think I could probably do this with the spool gun on my Miller-Matic, but the idea has come up in the past, and especially for this, about how I was able to MIG weld aluminum with the Arc Captain MIG 200, and the fact that gun on that MIG 200 is so much smaller than a spool gun. And in a situation like this where I really need to reach up inside that pipe, that smaller gun would be really handy. So one of the things I think I'm going to do when I'm out, I'm going to look and see if I can pick up another liner that'll fit in that Arc Captain MIG 200 gun. So I'll have a brand new liner that hasn't had steel wire run through it. I could try the one that I've got, but there has been quite a bit of regular flux core wire and steel MIG wire that's been run through that liner. So the inside of the liner that I've got should be contaminated to some extent. So if I had a brand new one, that might be better. So those are a couple things I'm going to run and see if I can get, while I got those air vacs sucking on that tank, evacuating that dirty air, and we'll get back on it. Let me hit you here with an updatification of the current situation. I got another MIG gun liner, and I stuck in that Arc Captain, and the back piece wasn't exactly right. The diameter of the liner itself was right, but it was a little bit too big. This is the original Arc Captain liner, and I just chopped it off and jammed it in there, and we're going to roll with it. So we'll see what happens there. And remember, if you run aluminum wire in a gun that's not a pull gun like a spool gun, it's probably going to have to be the 5356 wire. The 5356 alloy is much stiffer than 4043. I generally use 4043 in my spool gun. This is more likely to push, and which is obviously, you know, when you're trying to feed aluminum wire, getting it to push through the gun, that's the trick, because it's soft and it doesn't want to go. So having a short gun helps, having the 5356 wire helps. And you can see how I got this table set up where I'm gonna have her as straight as I can run it. Anytime you're running a MIG welder, you want to try and keep your cable hose of your gun running as straight as you can. If it's laying down on the floor tied up in knots, you're more likely to have feed issues. So you don't want to do that. I did get a power brush, high-speed power brush for my end grinder, and I've reached up in there and cleaned this up. The air vacs have been running for quite a while. I'm not going to be concerned about fumes. I'm just going to start welding in here and see how this goes. Got up here on top, got the hatch open. These valves on top of that hatch was where I was air vacuuming. Got the gas monitor up here and set it down into the tank. We're not showing anything, no LEL, good to go. We're going to weld on it. Gonna get a flashlight here and give you an update on this vac truck tank. Done a bunch of aluminum welding. Put that other liner, that jerry rig liner, in the Arc Captain MiG 200, and was running the 5356 aluminum wire with it, and I used up almost a whole 1 pound spool. And I started having a little bit of feed trouble and burn back. I might have had a bad contact tip or something stuck in my contact tip. I'm not sure what happened, but the gun got stuck and I didn't want to work on it. I was so close to finishing what I was doing on this welding that I just took and I rolled the Millermatic 252 over here, and I took what was left of that spool of wire out of the Arc Captain and I put it in the spool gun for the 252 and finished up the welding. So after using almost a whole pound of wire through that Arc Captain MiG 200 with the jerry-rigged liner like I did, it worked. You know, I mean, just because the gun got jammed up there after a while, that happens with a perfect scenario with solid wire every once in a while. You know, if you mess with the MIG welders very much, you know sometimes they get jammed up and you got to goof with them. But I put the Arc Captain away. I'm done welding the aluminum. We're going to take a look at the aluminum buildup, the BMR, the base metal repair that we got done on this aluminum, and I'll show you that right now. Let me get a flashlight shined on here. So pretty much what we're looking at, I went in a horizontal fashion around this pipe inside, this way running beads. That was the first thing I did. And I covered up everything that had any of that deterioration to it. I built it all up. Then next, I started in the middle right here, and I ran beads straight towards me, long ways. On all of this, from here all the way around to here, I had beads going up and down. So I went 90 degrees from the first way. And then on this last one, this is a third layer, I weaved kind of a downhill, real wide right here, and then one beside that, and one beside that, and one beside that, and one beside that. So we put pretty much a pound of aluminum wire on there. I've got a little too much buildup on my flange, but it was so contaminated that I kind of had to put more on there than I wanted to, just to burn the trash out. So I'm going to get the plasma and turn it down where I can just kind of wash with it, and I'm going to take a bunch of this off with the plasma before I go to grinding, but we're going to get this thing shaped up. After I got this here aluminum sanded up, grinded up, take a look what we got there. I'll put a light on it. Got that flattened out. Clearly there's some holes there I'm going to need to run a bit through. No big deal. Then I got on this plumbing and got this plumbing broke down. Got to figure out what we're going to do with it. I'm going to make a new flange. This flange that was made with the 4-2 bell, we don't need the 4-2 bell. We need to go straight to 2-inch, and that's going to give us some more space. There's parts here we need and parts here we don't need. The shut-off valve and the check valve needs to be on there. Going to have that thread half of the hammer union on the end. I need this because I'm just going to transfer that hole pattern to make me another flange that's a 2-inch instead of a 4-inch. Then I won't need that anymore. That's warm. Then I won't need that anymore. I heated that with a torch. It's been quite a while ago. It's a good thing it wasn't hotter than that, because it would have burned me. It's not hot enough to burn you, but it's warm. It surprised me there for a second. This nipple looks like the threads are messed up, and that one nipple that I held up in front of the camera that I took off, I wonder if you'll be able to see on video, but that one that I held up in front of the camera that I took off, it's egg-shaped, it's ruined. I threw it straight in the scrap dumpster. And the only thing I would say about that is, when you're pipe wrenching close nipples apart, these ones, close nipple is a real short nipple. I think they consider a close nipple, a lot of times the whole thing is thread. But even these ones that have about 1 inch of unthreaded pipe between the threads, they're so short. If they're schedule 40, you'll almost always egg one trying to get them apart if they got them really tight when they put it together. And for that reason, if you're buying nipples and it's a short one, a lot of times you might want to buy schedule 80 or extra heavy, just because the Schedule 40, if they're short and you put a pipe wrench on them, they go egg shaped so easy. But you know, if you're only going to use it once, it doesn't matter. But I like to be able to take stuff off and take it apart and use it again. So I lean towards getting extra heavy stuff in a lot of cases. Anyways, we need to get going on fabricating the flange. So I cut out a circle with a hole in it with a torch, and I've drilled 8 holes to fabricate this flange. And I'm going to weld a nipple in it. And this is a nipple I'm going to weld in it. And it reminded me of a quote. In 1992, I went to the United Technical Center in Bridgeport, West Virginia, to obtain a welding certification that I needed to get for a job opportunity that came up. I had never went to a trade school prior to that. I didn't go to a trade school in high school. Just the way life happened, I ended up working in a welding shop because my stepbrother worked at a welding shop, and he got hurt in an ATV accident. He broke his arm, and the guy that he was working for at the time needed help really bad, and it lucked me into a job I wasn't qualified for, and I had to get qualified real quick. But later I got an opportunity to work for the state of West Virginia if I could get a welding certification. So I went to the United Technical Center in Clarksburg, West Virginia in 1992. And I paid for 1 month of classes, because that paying for 1 month of classes would allow me to take a basic welding certification test that I needed for the state of West Virginia. The instructor there was a fellow by the name of Roy Sampson. And he's the one that gave me my first welding certification there in 1992. And I remember a quote that he said that I've never forgot when he was talking about torch work. Is he was saying that one good fitter is worth a whole shop full of welders. I made a rubber gasket for this while I was waiting for that paint to dry. And I got the gasket up here. And that hole in the center of my gasket is a concentric circle with the thing. But I just wanted to take a shot of it because that'll show you how much extra aluminum I added there in that trouble area. It give you some idea just how much extra, how much thicker I made that. Well, alrighty then, got her moved out here in the sunshine. Got this thing put back together, shut-off valve, check valve. Got that new flange on there, she's a shining. Fabricated a bracket. Got a U-bolt. Bolted to that tank. That might help it a little bit when that hose is on there jumping up and down there at the rig. That's it for that deal. Got that aluminum repaired, got a new flange made, redone the plumbing. She's good to go. Thanks for watching.